Today's topic is really dear to my heart. We know that, and analysis are showing that 80% of our workforce are not well equipped with the tools to deliver their job, while the frontline workers are actually the connection to your products, to your clients, to your brands, and we'll discuss that more during this webinar. They are also so important to the organization and to the economy that actually we saw 2 days ago that the UAE has announced the golden visa for frontline workers and their families. That's really a validation. It's a great news and a validation that this how vital they are to all organizations, but also to the economy. So today's topic, we will look at how to unlock the potential of your first-line workforce using the existing Microsoft 365. So how to enable them to deliver better in a more efficient way using the current M365. So with that, we'll start. I think we'll go to just a quick round of introductions. Just myself, my name is Azzat Saleh. I'm the managing partner of Cloud for Work, and I'm joined today with my colleague Abdallah Latouf. He's our management consultant. He's specialized in cloud technologies as well as change management projects. Hello, Abdallah. How are you?
Hi, Azzat. Hi, everyone. I'm truly happy to be part of this webinar. As you have said, the first line workforce is vital for organizations and entities. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, we will be providing some recommendations and some use case scenarios that hopefully will overcome the challenges that they face. So thank you, Izzat. We'll pass it back to you.
Great. So let's look at the agenda. We have a very rich agenda. So we'll quickly do an overview about the first line workforce, who they are, what are the challenges that they face. Then we look at how to unlock the potential. So what is the procedure? Based on our experience, based on global research, how to go about unlocking the potential. Then we'll share some success stories and a very nice summary on what is a typical day in the life of a first-line staff using the technology. And of course, we look at the next steps and the Q&A. So here I would like to remind you that for the Q&A, you can post all your questions on the meetings chat, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. So feel free to post all your questions at any point. We will read them at the end of the presentation. So just to say, about the overview about the workforce. Here we all know that the customer-facing staff is what we're calling the first-line workforce. So your customers are relying on them for the service that you provide. They are also the staff behind working in the manufacturing plant, building your product. Without them, probably your business cannot exist. And most importantly, in customer-facing situation, they are also the representative of your brand. So the first thing that if you go to a retail shop, any shop, to a restaurant, you have, or to a hospital, you have the doctor, nurses, waiters, staff serving you, selling you services and experiences. They are representing your brand. So they need to be properly enabled, properly using the best technology, answering the customers' questions as quickly as possible. So it's very important that they are representing your brand across all different industries. The challenges that we see with the workforce, that most of the time when companies invest in technologies, they look at office workers, they look at office processes, they see how we could help office-based staff. So they end up having either outdated processes or they come a little bit later. So we're discovering sometimes, even still till today, paper-based processes. We're still discovering usage of so many, diversified free tools that they're just using themselves without having really a proper technology in the hand. Second thing, we have always multiple locations. We have branches at different locations. We have different geographies. So we see a lot of traveling happening with the team leads to meet the ground staff. We still see printouts when they are gathering frontline staff and giving them the briefings. So a lot of these tasks and shift assignment are still happening on a manual basis. And lastly, I mean, the visibility and the assignment. So again, here they sometimes feel like left out from the organization. They might not have even a proper email ID with the corporate identity. So we need to make sure that they are engaged and they are feeling they're not feeling left out. So all of these challenges, I mean, the good news here is that we have solutions, and the solutions, I mean, in order to come to these solutions, we will see now with Abdullah that there is a certain process to follow, and this is the process that we would like to share with you today from our experience and from reports and analysis on how to deal with that. So with that, I think I'll pass it to Abdullah. Abdullah will show us how to unlock this potential, and then I'll come back to talk to you about how to execute the plan later on. So Abdullah, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, Izzat. Thank you for the overview. Now we are totally aware that the first-line workforce are really vital for the organizations and entities, and we also aware that they are facing some challenges, but we should also know and let's say specify the challenges that they face in our organization. In each organization, they should exactly specify the challenges that they face, and then to specify some scenarios to overcome those challenges. And the most important part is to know how to push those scenarios to be implemented on ground. So to identify those challenges, we should ask ourselves many questions in order to know the exact challenge that our first-line workforce face. So for this, we have divided those questions into three main categories. First one is workforce communication and engagement. The second one is workforce management. And of course, the third one is operational efficiency. For each category, we have listed a number of points that we should take care of. For example, for the first one, for the first category, workforce communication and engagement, we have listed daily communication, teamwork, collaboration, and etc. And for each point, we will have a set of questions in order to know exactly the challenges that they face. So let's begin with the first category, for example, workforce communication and engagement. Starting with the first point, daily communication. Of course, we should ask ourselves, how do us as a management communicating with the first-line workforce? And of course, how do the first-line workforce communicate with each other daily? Going to the teamwork collaboration, of course, we should ask ourselves if our first-line workforce are working individually or in teams, and are we providing them with the productivity and collaboration tools that they need? And of course, in each organization, there are projects running in each department or around a specific topic. So are we putting everything related to the topic, to the project, to the department in one place, or they are scattered across all the department? So those are the questions that we should ask about the workforce communication and engagement. Going also on the same category to the employees engagement and empowerment point. So we should know if we are giving a voice to every employee in the company from bottom up, so that we can know exactly their needs and we should try to fulfill those needs. And we should ask ourselves as well if those first-line workforce are really aware about the latest news happening in the company, or even the decisions or any urgent information coming from the management. Currently, in this world, of course, we should have some insights about the business, about the organization, and about the first line workforce as well. So do the managers and leaders have insights about the first line workforce to know exactly if they are burnout or if they need anything, if they are overwhelmed, so maybe we can help them in this topic. So business insights should be a part of knowing exactly the challenge that they face. Going further to the digital workplace, so we should ask ourselves if our employees are working in different, let's say, locations, or maybe some of them are working from home and some of them are working on ground. Are we providing them with a digital workplace that is considered somehow as a one-stop shop for everything they need? Is it accessible, for example, from the mobile or from the Microsoft Teams or from the place that they normally work in? And what if we have all of this, but maybe it is not adopted or it's not user-friendly? So this is the first category that we are finishing now, with all points and questions that we and also management, leaders and decision makers should ask ourselves and themselves to know exactly the exact challenge that they are facing. Going next to the workforce management. So we need to know how we are managing our workforce, going to the shifts, tasks, and approvals. So first of all, do our frontline workforce working in shifts, or they are normally working in one shift? If they are working in many shifts, we should ask ourselves, are they facing any challenges? Are we providing them with a proper, let's say, shifts management system or tool that's helping them in scheduling their shifts? Is it well organized or not? Going for the task management, of course, each first line workforce have many tasks that they need to manage. So how do these first line workforce managing their tasks, and what are the main challenges that they face when managing their tasks, of course? Going to the approvals, of course, in each organization and in each entity, there should be a quality check or a quality control process in order to know that this work is done and good to be delivered to the customer. So for this, we should have an approvals management process. So what is our current approvals process in our organization? Is it good enough? Is it need some kind of optimization? Is it automated or totally manual? This is a good question to be asked. Going further to the third category, which is the operational efficiency. So, of course, our first line workforce needs some information to finish and accomplish their work. So, are they getting this information quickly and smoothly when needed, or it is hard to them to find that information? And another question related to competencies and talents management. So, how do we build our first line workforce capabilities? Are they complying with the competencies that we need so that we will deliver a great work and a great deliverable to the customer, or they need some help on it? So, and even sometimes we have some talented employees and talented first line workforce. Are we focusing on them and supporting them with all that we need so that they will keep improving themselves or not? And of course, some of the business processes related to the first line workforce might be complex or complicated. So how complex our first line workforce business processes in our organization? And is it automated? And what is the number of automation that can be done? So for example, you can tell me that it is currently 5% automated, but there is a chance to automate our business processes with 50%. So why not utilize this 50% and to automate the process to make it less complex, which will bring more value to the process? And of course, in many organizations, they are using and accessing many industry applications to accomplish their work. So how many applications, industry applications we have, and do our first line workforce access their industrial applications easily, or they are struggling to do so. So once we have known the questions that we should ask ourselves, we should also recommend some scenarios to overcome those challenges, and then to know exactly how to push those scenarios on ground. So in this case, some of organizations are asking themselves, what are other organizations doing and implementing to overcome those challenges? What are the scenarios that they are using in their organization? And for this, we are recommending the following scenarios to overcome the challenges that your first-line workforce might face. So we have 7 scenarios, starting with the collaboration management, first-line workforce empowerment, first-line workforce engagement, shifts management, task management, digitization, and processes automation. I would like to give an overview and a brief about each scenario so that we can be more aligned. So starting with the first scenario, which is collaboration management. For this scenario, other organizations are using Microsoft Teams. You might ask yourself why they are using it, because it is considered as the hub of teamwork in Microsoft 365, because it includes many features, which is totally important. So first-line workforce can chat with each other individually or in groups, or even they can use the great features in collaboration coming from Microsoft, where you and your colleague can work at the same time, at the same document and folder. You can also use the Microsoft Teams for meetings, to schedule the meetings, or maybe attend the meetings, or even to use the calling available in Microsoft Teams. And there is a huge value in the applications available in the app catalog in Microsoft Teams, which some organizations are not really utilizing this main feature. So we have many applications happening and available in the app catalog that you can utilize and you can totally use. Going to the second scenario, which is the first-line workforce empowerment. And for this, we are recommending Viva as it is empowering people and teams to be their best. So we have 4 modules available in Microsoft Viva: Viva Connections, Insights, Topics, and Learning. So for the connections, it is more or less like a one-stop shop for everything that our employees and our first-line workforce need, so that they can be aware about the news and about the latest decisions coming from the management, where we are building a culture, a safe environment for our employees. Going to the insights, which is helping in increasing the productivity and well-being. So for me as an employee, or for the first-line workforce, they will use the Viva Insights to receive some reminders to take a break every once in a while, so that their mind will be fresh. And they can also book some time for the management, so that they can contact the manager for any further questions. And of course, they can book a time for non-disturbing, so that they can focus on the work that they are doing. For the same module, we have another part for the management, for the managers and leaders, so that they can see exactly the statistics around their team to make sure that they are totally away from the burnout. And in case they are close to that limit, Microsoft Viva will give you a recommended plan to follow, so that you can increase the productivity and well-being for your employees. Topics, which is one of the unique modules available in Viva, because in this module, knowledge comes to you rather than you are going to the knowledge. So in case you have faced unfamiliar acronym, or let's say sentence, all you need is to hover over this specific word, and then a topic card will pop up, so that you can see exactly a brief about this specific word. And in case you'd like to extend your knowledge more, all you need is just to press on this topic card, and you will be redirected to the topic page to get all the information that you need. For the 4th module available in Microsoft Viva, which is Viva Learning, you will be able to provide a massive content of learning and training content, which will help your employees for further growth and to build and shape their skills, which will help and add value to your first-line workforce process. Going to the third scenario, which is workforce engagement, coming to the Powell intranet, which is one of the partners for Microsoft. So it is a really unique workplace that we are using in our organization, and many organizations are using it because you can have an intranet and digital workplace in 1 month up and running in your organization, which is considered as a quick win for your organization. The good thing about Powell Intranet that it is, let's say, it is important for the HR, for the communication, and for the employees as well. It is like a one-stop shop for everything that our employees need, for a fast onboarding, for a knowledge learning, for example, quick links, latest news and updates, people directory, and many more features available in the internet. Going further to the next scenario, which is shifts management, there is a unique application available in Microsoft Teams, which is Microsoft Shifts, where you can manage the shifts of your first-line workforce easily and even from your mobile, which will save your time as a manager. And of course, it will help and will ease the life of our first-line workforce so that they can stamp in and stamp out using the shifts. And they can also see their shifts, exactly what are the work, let's say, scheduled for them. And they can also, let's say, request for an open shift so that they can also work and accomplish their work in the base phase. Going further to the next scenario, which is task management, which is team tasks. Teams tasks is an application available in Microsoft Teams, which is combining Microsoft Planner, which is totally concentrated in managing the teams-based tasks, in addition to Microsoft To Do, which is managing the personal tasks. So when using the Teams tasks in Microsoft Teams, you will be able to have a visualization of your current project progress so that you can see exactly what is the status of the project, what are the priorities available, and what are, let's say, the members available in this specific project, and are they overwhelmed, so that you can monitor the task progress in real time, and you can simplify creating and assigning tasks, which will make the tasks more straightforward to your first line workforce. Going to the next application and the next scenario, which is digitization available with Power Apps. So Power Apps are custom low-code applications which will help to solve the business challenges. So all you need is to create your own application using an app template coming in the Power Apps or in the GitHub. So for example, one of our employees and one of our, let's say, clients were facing some challenges in booking the rooms for their employees, and the full process was going and coming manually. So they decided to utilize the Power Apps, which will really push and leverage, let's say, and enhance the process. So they have created Book a Room Power App, which will really, let's say, reduce the time that they are putting in booking a room, which will help the secretary to accomplish her work faster, and which will automate the process easily in a very user-friendly application provided by Power Apps. And we have many more templates and applications available in the Power Apps. Going further to the Power Automate streamlines the repetitive tasks and the processes, which will really boost the productivity of your employees. So for example, in case you have a very manual process available in your organization, you can automate that process using Power Automate. So for example, once you accomplish a specific task, you can easily, using a Power Automate workflow, to redirect the deliverable that you have finished to your manager so that you can seek the approval from the manager easily using the Power Automate. This is one of the examples which will help to automate the time-consuming manual tasks using the built-in AI capabilities available in Power Automate. So after asking ourselves many questions to know exactly the challenges that our frontline and first-line workforce facing, and after recommending some scenarios that we should follow to overcome those challenges, we should know how to push those scenarios on ground and how to execute the plan. And for this, I will pass it back to Izzat to see his insights about pushing those scenarios on ground.
Thank you, Abdullah. So just to remind you again, the questions, you can post them on the meeting chat. We received few questions directly, but we enable the chat for you to post any comments, questions, if you want, both in English and Arabic as well. So to look at the next phase in that project is to how to execute this plan. So first we identified the use cases, scenarios. We asked all the questions. We were able to identify the scenarios. Second, we mapped those scenarios to technologies. So those technologies, Abdullah covered some of them that we recommend, the one that we see commonly, requested or commonly, where there is high interest. But how to execute the plan is really a very important phase in that journey. So there we have two things to consider here. First one is the deployment of your modern office. So the deployment of this technology, and more importantly also the adoption. So how to enable the frontline staff, enable the employees to adopt these new technologies. So these are equally important, and I'll talk about both of them. So first, on the deployment of the deployment of the tools or modernizing your office, it's important, as we have talked about, these are some recommended tools available within the suite or available through other providers as well. But these are not set in stone. So every organization, once you go through the discovery questions, you will be able to identify your own set of tools. Based on the industry, based on your journey, based on your clients, and so on. But I would say you need to look at some technologies and you need to deploy those technologies. Second comes the adoption. So here is the question, how to enable your employees, because a lot of times you deploy a technology, you launch, but then 1 week, 2 weeks down the road, then no one is using this technology, and really you don't see a good ROI on your technology. There could be an excitement on day one, then the excitement fades away. So this is a big challenge in our industry, especially with the first-line workers, because they are really busy in their day-to-day tasks. So in order to help solve this challenge, we look at it from an adoption and change management perspective. So what I'll describe to you here is the stages that you should consider when enabling your first-line employees. So the first one is the assessment and planning. So we need to have a plan. We need to understand what are the objectives, what are the challenges that we have, that you have discovered, what are the business goals, how quickly you want to do that, how important it is to do that for you, who is sponsoring this initiative in your organization, and so on. So we need to identify the gaps and set the goals. The second phase is awareness activities. So once you decide to launch a technology, it's very important that there is a very good, proper communication plan, which is endorsed by a sponsor, so someone high in your organization, to say that this is what we are launching. This is very important for us. It's strategic. We are enabling you we are preparing you for the future. We want to become more competitive. So all these points are very important to include so that people are excited about this change. So here you could do it with emails, with content, with videos. So there's a lot of techniques. The second step is identifying the scenarios like we did before, but more importantly, communicate about the scenarios. I want to know that each persona, each person in your frontline workers, they need to know what's in it for me. Because if we don't identify an area of improvement or something to help them do a better job, a faster job, a more efficient job, then they will not adopt those new technologies. So we need to identify what's in it for me for each persona so that they are excited and they join our journey when we are launching this technology. The next step is the K. So K is the knowledge transfer, where we need to make sure that they have all the knowledge within their reach. So they have guides, they have courses, maybe videos again. They have all the material to learn about those new technologies. And then the step, which is the ability. This is where we need to train them. We need to enable them through hands-on workshops, through them being engaged in the pilot phase, in trying out things. They need to try out those technologies while they are under supervision, let's say, or during hands-on workshops, face-to-face or online. But we need to make sure that they have the capability to use those technology. And last but not least, the reinforcement. So reinforcement activities are very, very important to sustain the change. So we introduced the technology, we did all the stages, the R becomes critical to sustain the change. So here you could do refreshers, you could look at your current data to see what has worked, what didn't work, what can we do better. You could gamify the process with the frontline workers. We see that happening a lot in the hospitality business, where people are, giving points to the workforce or the staff or the people who are using the technology. They are giving them awards. They are continuously monitoring, so they have a leaderboard. You have all these techniques to create, to introduce a little bit of a gamification to that process. So that cycle, the ADKAR cycle, is a continuous cycle, as you can see. So you do it, but you need to continuously keep on cycling through the ADKAR, because keep in mind that change adoption and change management is not a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing process that you need to continuously do. So just to summarize my part here, so we have, of course, the deployment of the technology, and second is the adoption of this technology. Both together will guarantee you a successful implementation with the frontline workers. So with that, I'll pass it back to Abdullah to take us through some of the success stories around Microsoft 365. And again, thank you for people who posted questions. Feel free to post questions, even if they are, comments about what we're saying. We'll discuss them in the Q&A phase.
Thank you, Izzat, for sharing your insights about how to push those scenarios on ground. And now we would like to, let's say, provide you with some Office 365 success stories that has happened already with many clients, starting with Hilton, for example, going to the IKEA, going also to Etihad Airways. So for example, for Etihad Airways, it is a UAE national airline. The challenge that they were facing, for example, that when COVID came, they need to move 70% of employees to remote work in 2 weeks. So the solution that Etihad Airways followed is that they have utilized and combined Microsoft Teams, Power Apps, and Power BI to break down silos and to enable remote work. and the result was really amazing. So we can see that they has reduced the licensing cost and the paper-based tasks, and also automated up to 30% of manual workloads. And also they have created many reports coming from Power BI. All of this has happened as well with establishing a remote work platform with channels for more than 20,000 employees. Going further, for example, for Northwell Health, their challenges was because they have 23 hospitals and around 800 outpatient facilities in New York. So they wanted to save the clinicians' time. So the solution that they have used, they have leveraged the Microsoft Teams and Power Apps to streamline the data access and ultimately improve the patient care. So this is the solution that they have followed, and the results was actually great because they have simplified the patient information, and also they have built the Power App, which has helped them to track the patient care plans and added it to channels and chats in Microsoft Teams. So we have many success stories happening using the scenarios that we have already covered. So maybe you will be the next success story using the existing of Office 365. So once you have specified the challenges, you have pushed the scenarios on ground, you have executed the plan, maybe this will be the productive day in the life of your first-line staff. So once you took those scenarios into consideration, deployed the app, and you have taken care of the adoption part, this will be your productive day in the life of first-line staff. So we have Lydia as an example. She's working on Contoso. She starts her work at 8 a.m. where she clock in using the Shifts app, and using the Shifts app as well, she will check what are the tasks that she should accomplish, and she can know exactly the co-workers working with her as well. Going further with the Teams tasks, where she can see the full list of the tasks that she needs to accomplish today and tomorrow. For example, Lydia has noticed that she needs to order more light bulbs for her process, and she has opened the inventory request Power App, where she has requested and left a request for the order of the light bulbs. Then she has went back to the Teams tasks to mark this task as completed, so that the co-workers and the management will know that she has accomplished these tasks. While Lydia is working, she has received a reminder using the company communicator app about a new training that she should finish before the end of the month. She can stamp out so that she can go on a break using the Microsoft Shifts, and then clock in as well. During the work, she can also use Microsoft Teams to praise one of her colleagues using Microsoft Teams, and even she can use many more applications related to the industry that she works in using the Power Apps. We have also Microsoft Viva, for example, and Powell, which can fit in this productive day in the life of the first-line staff. Going further to the next steps, passing back to Izzat. Can you help us with the next steps, please?
Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you. And I'm happy to see that we are right on time. So the next steps that we have here, I mean, they are simple. Since adoption change management is the core of what we do at Cloud for Work, we're happy to offer you free consultancy to the webinar attendees. So if you would like to discuss with our consultants about anything that you learned today from a technology perspective, from a process perspective, best practices, we're happy to offer the free consultancy, and you can connect with us at connect@cloudforwork.com. We'll also be sharing the link of the webinar recording. So we'll share it on the LinkedIn page as well as we'll send it to you by email. And I think with that we reach the Q&A. So if we go to the Q&A, I'm just going to start with the direct questions that we have received, and then we can take the questions from the chat. So again, if you want, remind you to post your questions in the Q&A, we'll answer them. So one of the questions we received, which Microsoft license do you recommend for the frontline workforce? I think this question I can answer it. Part of the suite you have what is called today the F license. So these are the frontline workers from Microsoft. So you have the F1, F3. So they are designed for the frontline workers. They are very cost effective and include many of the workloads that are needed and that most of what we have covered today. Another questions here. Who do you consider frontline workforce? So I think Abdullah, I'll pass that question to you. Who do we consider frontline workers in the organization? I think we covered that at the beginning, but you can maybe remind us who are they in some of the industries that we see in our region.
Yes, thank you for the question, Azzat. So actually, the Firstline Workforce is let's say the contact point between the organization and the customer. And as we have said, it is their work who will, let's say, push up the brand that we have. So for example, for the hospitals, we have the nurses, for example, and let's say industries such as production and etc. We have the workers, for example. In each industry, for sure, we will have those first-line workforce that the whole organization will need in, as their role is really vital. I hope I have answered the question, Azzat.
Yes, I think it's clear. We can just give examples like maybe doctors, nurses, retailers, waiters. I mean, yes. all the staff who are front-facing or customer-facing staff. There's a question about sharing the presentation. So as I said before, we will share the link to the webinar on LinkedIn as well as to your email. We have two more questions that were sent directly. So one is about the technology. Is Viva Learning capable of building the knowledge and capabilities of the frontline workers? So can we use the Viva Learning for, I think, to help in the adoption, you know, by training the frontline workers?
Thank you, Azzat. So Viva Learning is a really unique module that should be used to build the capabilities of our employees as well as the first-line workforce. I would like to mention some of the features so that he can know that such a module is really should be used in each organization. So first of all, it is available in the place that our first-line workers as well as the employees work, which is available in Teams and available in the mobile as well. The good thing that managers and leaders can assign some courses that the employees should accomplish. So in this case, we are making sure that we are building the capabilities of them with the benefit and with the help of their managers and leaders, because they know exactly what are the capabilities and the learning that they should have. And also they, as an employees, they can assign some courses and some learning for themselves, as Viva Learning is providing multiple sources coming for the learning. So Viva Learning can be integrated with a learning management system. Let's say the HR or the communication can provide specific content for the employees. It can be also linked with everything coming from Microsoft, coming with Microsoft Learn or LinkedIn Learning. So it is providing a massive, let's say, learning providers, which is linked with Viva Learning. Yeah. So from my side, as a consultant, I see it is really capable to build the capabilities of first-line workforce staff.
Great. Thank you for that. So let's look at the chat. If I go from the top, so we have a question from Abdullah. What are the minimum plans to use for Power Apps? This is regards to budget for small scale industries. So there is no real minimum plan, but as you might know, there are two plans for Power Apps. One is per user per app, which means per app. And I think it's around $5 per month, and another one where you could run an unlimited number of apps, so it's per user only, it's $20. So there are two options, or you choose the one app and then you get the license for it, or you get per user for unlimited apps, which is $20. So these are the plans from Microsoft. I hope, Abdullah, you answered questions.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Thank you.
And maybe, if needed, we can help to provide a session to know exactly what is the current scenario and the organization of the person who asked the question, and we might recommend the suitable Power App for this specific scenario.
Yes, thank you, Abdullah. The second question from Fadi, given the changes on Teams, what facility did you use for this event? Is it Teams live event or Teams webinar or Teams regular meeting? So I can answer this question for you. So today, all three options are available from Teams. We used the Teams webinar. As you could have experienced, there was a landing page where you have registered for the event. You got the calendar added to your calendar meeting sent to you. So all of these are part of Teams webinar. So for today, we use Teams webinar. If you have any questions, let us know.
Thank you, Azzat, for clarifying this. Given the new changes, last week we suffered to decide between webinar and live event, especially that we found out that live event there will be delay 25 seconds.
Yes.
I really like the changes and introducing webinar, but we don't know sometimes why these changes happened or what
so
is behind delaying 25 seconds.
We could help you in that. But if you want to know about the delay in Teams live event and what you have experienced, so the live event is using a different infrastructure because it can scale up to 20, 30, 40,000 users, I think even more now. So they are using a streaming network that has, to cater for this very high number of users. That's why there is a delay between the speakers and what the users can hear. So if you are using voice and PowerPoint and video, no problem. If you are using during your call something from outside, or you're showing another website, or you're doing something external, then that delay could be a problem. But it's it's well known because of, again, the scalability. The webinar could scale up to 1,000 users. But anyways, Fadi, if you want any help, we could help you with that. We have a question from Roshan. How do you ensure and quantify ROI of these solutions, enabling frontline workers for organizations planning to work with you? So thank you, Roshan, for this question. I'll answer it as well. We have a detailed framework for frontline workers, which is where we use tools from Microsoft. It's a kind of a calculator. So we have a set of questions that we ask before we engage and after we engage. And this set of questions, we feed them into the Microsoft calculator, and that will give us the return. So it could be efficiency improvement, return on investment. There's a full-fledged report that to help us quantify the returns of automating some of the processes with the frontline workers. So if you're interested in that, we can share with you the sample of the report. Another question we have from Saddam: can we achieve the centralized task assignment for all employees via Power Apps? So can you elaborate a little bit more on the questions? Because I think, so you could use task assignment with Teams tasks or planner, what used to be called planner, for all staff, no problem in that. You could also use Microsoft Shifts for all staff. So yeah, you mentioned planner. So planner is available to all staff. Anyone who has a SharePoint license can use planner, and they just need to access planner either through a browser or through Teams. So no need really for Power Apps if you want to use planner. I hope I was clear. I don't know, Abdullah, if you have anything else to add to Saddam's question.
I think from the question that I have heard from you, I think this is the good answer. Maybe if Saddam can elaborate more, we can know exactly what is the details that he's looking for.
Yeah, but again, if it's about planner, you need to, it's more of an adoption question, how to access it, how to use it, how to add it to Microsoft Teams, and how to use it. Yeah. Okay, clear. Okay, great. So is there any other questions? We opened up also the microphone. If you want to just unmute yourself and ask your questions, feel free to do that. We will stay for another 3 minutes, I mean, open on the meeting in case you want to have any discussion. And I would like to take that opportunity to really thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Abdullah, for all your inputs. And we're looking forward to talking to you after this webinar on that topic, or to welcome you on our next webinar. So thank you again and have a good day.